I rented a D-6 Dozer on a Friday and had it over the weekend for 8 hours of use. I'd never used one before, so I was really nervous to begin with. The person who delivered it gave me a quick listen, and I just drove it to the site and started using it. It was a lot of fun, actually. I was always a little bit shaky after using it for a while, just because it's such a large machine. I left all of the tree stumps about 2 feet high so that I could hit them with the dozer blade. And also I learned how to push forward with the dozer blade and pull up at the same time and kind of like rip a huge layer of the earth or a stump up out of the ground instead of just pushing only forward. This was definitely 100 times easier than using a Plasky, and I was super happy I got the dozer. This section I'm doing here is a hill with a turn, so I had to make it a little bit wider and try to scrape down the hill a little bit so that I could get a nice, more flat road going up it. Right here I was getting to the house pad and turnaround section, and I cleared a bunch of blocks out of the way so that I wouldn't bury it with dirt as I pushed the dirt. This is the house pad section, so I spent extra time flattening it and going back and forth on it and getting down to rock. Right here I just went back and forth on the road just to make sure it was really solid and scraped it down farther and widened it a little bit. Later in that day, I had ordered 2 loads of D1 gravel, and the first load was very questionable. He almost sunk into the dirt. Making Rock Wild Road. Yeah. Dumped it. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh yeah! His wheel didn't sink The next day when I got out there was water everywhere because it rained all night. And so I just decided to get a bunch of rocks and throw it in the water and just displace the water with rocks. And then I just did that for a long time. And then after that I put D1 gravel on top of it and drove over it with the D-6 Dozer. I had like another hour and a half left with the dozer, and once I went over 8 hours, it was $50 an hour. So I didn't want to go over, and I also needed to clean all the mud from it. And so I decided that my priority was to enlarge the house pad section, which also included moving the blocks as I enlarged it. And I wanted to improve the road a little more also by just driving over it. I used a shovel to spread the gravel. Initially, I actually used the D6 Dozer and pulled the backhoe backwards to try to drag it, but it wasn't getting enough of it where I wanted it, so I started shoveling it by hand. There was a female moose that came over to eat the tops of the birch trees that I had knocked over. It wasn't even scared of the dozer at all, even while I was operating it. On September 5th, I bought a coffee scooper from Fred Meyer's and used that to scoop mud out of the dozer. And I also used a crowbar to help pull in small sections the mud out. Had to dig it out by hand too. On September 6th, I got all of the house material I had on the lower part of the land. So it was a 8-inch by 8-inch by 16-foot logs and about 32 studs and a whole bunch of 16-foot lumber also, and plywood in OSB board. All of this material was brought to the house spot using that road that I built, and luckily I didn't get stuck. And then the rental company showed up and picked up the tractor with the flatbed.